Check, check. Good evening and welcome to Versailles Brewing Company here in Versailles. It is the From the Sidelines Coaches Program here with your host, Darren Douglas. I'm the aforementioned Darren. And the guy to my left is not Dennis Johnson, who is usually with us, the head coach of the Whitford County Yellow Jackets. It is now the offensive coordinator. Good time to have him after his team pulled a 77 out of their pocket last week against West Jessamine in a 77-35 victory in Nicholasville to move to 6-0 on the season, 1-0 in district play with a district game tomorrow night at Community Stadium against the Eagles of Madison Southern. Glad we're with us tonight. Matt Pelisasa is the guy sitting to my left, or to my right, I should say, left, right. Took me 2 years to get his last name correct. I called him Coach P forever, so finally got his last name correct. Matt, thank you for being here tonight in place of Dennis, who is a very busy man tonight when it comes to sports in Whitford County. We'll talk about those in a second, but thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Darren.
Well, Coach, we mentioned last week, but let's get through these other sports tonight. Two things taking place at Community Stadium tonight. The boys and girls soccer team for the high schools going for district championships tonight. I believe the girls are playing Collins and the boys are playing Anderson County, or is it vice versa? No, the girls are playing Anderson. The boys are playing Collins tonight.
Yeah.
Those are taking place at Community Stadium. Matter of fact, the boys are playing first, and I believe they are underway already at 6 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
So we have that game, and then the girls' volleyball team is in action at the Hive over there at the high school tonight. They are playing Franklin County tonight, no, Western Hills tonight. And then we have our middle school football teams that are both undefeated. Both are 8-0, looking for 9-0 tonight. The seventh grade, I just got a report, halftime. They lead Georgetown Middle School 14-0. That is for the conference championships down there in Frankfort at Western Hills High School, and then the eighth grade will follow. They will take on Campbell Middle School out of Winchester. And for those that are all old enough to know, back in the day when I coached middle school here, they were known as Belmont Middle School. Now they are Campbell Middle School over there in Winchester. They will play after the eighth grade game. So a lot of stuff going on tonight. Also, we want to wish luck to three of our high school golfers who are going to start play in the state championships tomorrow down in Bowling Green at Bowling Green Country Club. Abigail Kane, who is the daughter of the Whitford Suns' Bill Kane, I believe she's an eighth grader, and Sophie Lester are all playing tomorrow along with Bradley Lacefield. He's a freshman, so tells you how young those golfers are that are doing well. So now we're taking all care of that. So, Coach, thank you again for being here. And last week we thought we might get a heavy dose of the running game against West Jessamine, a total reverse of the script from last year when I think I almost fell out of my chair in the press box when you come out and we're throwing the ball all the way around the yard. We throw for almost 400 yards. Last week you run for 453 in a 77-35 win. What did you see in the film that was different from this year to last year?
Pretty much the same thing. West has been running, similar defenses throughout the years, and they play us, very similarly every time we see them. So it was just really kind of the flavor of the night for our kids. I kind of roll with how they're feeling, how they're performing throughout the week, and it was on the ground. We kind of mixed it up. Felt like we had a pretty balanced attack, and they took advantage of what was there.
Well, the first play from scrimmage, you get the game underway. We win the toss. We defer our option to the second half. You get a quick 3-and-out from your defense. One play, 51 yards, and it wasn't anything fancy. It wasn't an option or anything. You run a straight dive right off the right hip of the center, and 6 for Preston Stacy on one play. So
it was a great way to start the game. Good way to get his confidence rolling and get the offense rolling too.
And then we come into what Woodford County has been experiencing, the same thing as the University of Kentucky. Failed extra point right afterwards. That's got to be kind of deflating. What's going on with that? I mean, do you know? I mean, you're the offensive coordinator. You're there. Is it the hold? Is it just the timing? Is it?
It's been a little bit of everything. We've just been working through doing a lot better now that we kind of put a competition aspect into it, and guys are earning their spots now, and we'll get it rolling. We'll get it rolling. We'll fix it and right the ship.
I was going to say the kicker's the same, the snapper is the same. The only thing is different is the holder. Last year it was Bryce Patterson. This year it's been Jackson Bugg. It's been Andrew Nason, and some combination of the two. And then we've had two forwards kicking. We've had Logan at times too. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a mental thing, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But you get that first play from scrimmage, and it was a huge deflating thing because West Jessamine had a really nice crowd, home crowd there for their game. They were really fired up. I mean, I walked in about an hour before we went on the air, and some of the people in Nicholasville know me from all my years of doing this, but they looked at me like, this is our year to take you down. And I thought, okay. Went back and forth. High scoring first half. We'll cover the rest of that as we go. But I was like, back in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, well, they might be right this year. But you guys didn't let up on that. But they come right back after you take the lead to start the game there after one play. They come back. They have a nice methodical drive, which is kind of a weird say of things because they like to throw the ball a lot. They have a dynamic receiver. They have a dynamic quarterback in Jacob Jones. The receiver is Dalton Carter. They've been playing pitch and catch for, I think it's 8 years now. Not just through the high school ranks, but middle school and youth football as well. So, they know each other. They know each other's tendencies and things like that. They come right back down and they score and get their extra point to make it 7-6. And I looked at Andy Smith, my partner, and said, we're in for a battle tonight. But I was curious to see how the team would respond. We came right back and drove the ball, and I think it was 5 plays, 80 yards, and a couple of big, nice runs one from Kenyon Maxberry, one from Andrew Nason, then a bruising run, which if anybody knows Preston Stacy's a little bit odd as well because he goes 6'1", 6'2", 215 pounds. His dad went 5'10", 235, 240 pounds. Much different builds, but Preston has that ability to run away, but also to bruise. And he carried 7 guys for a first down on, I think it was 3rd and 9.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between Stacy tonight, this year, and last year? I mean, last year we saw a lot of that different stuff, but I noticed he is more of a leadership role. I know he's a senior, and seniors usually lead, but what's different with him this year and last that you've seen?
More of the stuff that normally fans and other people outside of the program won't see. Is the day-to-day stuff, and I would call it and just kind of chalk it down to maturity. He's definitely matured over that over this past year, and he's taken that leadership role. He's taken that responsibility, and he's really running with it. And he's doing really well.
Well, there was a later in the game, there was an incident that I really wanted to point out, and I was so upset that we couldn't video stream last week because of the issue with the NFHS and all that stuff. But there was a time late in the first half, we were huddling, and I looked down as we were going towards the scoreboard, and I looked down, and Preston has, I think it's Samuel Garrison, and it might have been Wyatt Crow, but he had his arms around both of them in the huddle as the play was being called. I hadn't seen that from him. It was 2 years before.
For sure.
So, he is on the cusp. He doesn't know how close he is. I hope he doesn't listen to this broadcast tonight. But he is like 175 yards away from breaking the school's all-time rushing record.
Oh, man. That might be gone tomorrow night.
Might be gone tomorrow night. I would love for it to be gone tomorrow night in front of the home crowd. It would be really nice. But, he's that close. Gotcha. And to be that close and to have the kind of career in 3 years, well, 2+ so far, that he's had, to see that kind of leadership from that young man, that is very heartwarming for me as an alum, but also as the guy that broadcasts.
Oh, 1,000%. He deserves that. He puts in work, he puts in countless hours and stuff, that people don't see, that we don't even see, that he puts behind the scenes. And he comes from a family that just cares all about him and his successes, and just as a young man, and they've been along the way, and have trusted us, to coach him and give him all. So I can't wait to see his future unfold. And right now he's taking every day step by step, which is how a young man you want him to act. So.
And here's the thing that's surprising me. I have word that he is not being heavily recruited. What in the world, if you're a college recruiter, are you looking at?
I know. He has all the measurables. I mean, he's 6'1", 6'2", 215 pounds. He's 4'5", laser time.
He's faster than you think.
He's 315, to 405 in the weight room on the bench. It's crazy to see. Everybody's on the fence with him, and like, if it's it. He's shown it on film. He's shown it on tape. He finally got his first offer over the weekend, which validates his, all of his hard work, and we expect a lot more rolling in.
Well,
for him.
I don't know where that's coming from, that offer, but I will say this, and I know Vince Merrill does listen to our program, and he does come to games at times. Yeah. Big dog, you got a guy down here that would absolutely love to put on the blue and white.
Oh, he would, and he would wear that with pride every single day of his life.
I know he would. And here's the funny thing: his dad's a Louisville fan. Go figure that one. But we'll go back.
Yeah.
I digress from that one. I'll leave that one alone. I'm sorry. I channeled my mother there for a minute. But then, they come right back, this West Jessamine. They score to make it 14-all. And I think that was a one-play drive for them. I think that was a run from Jacob Jones, the only time he really got loose from the pocket. There were some times we had trouble tackling him, but he actually got this long run around the near side closest to the press box, and really went untouched after he kind of got bounced off the line in the middle. They kicked the extra point. They tied at 14 after. By the way, we went for two and got it on that one, our touchdown. And then we come right back and score. I think it was a 3-play drive, and then we miss the 2-point conversion, because at that point in time, I thought, now you can tell me what you all were thinking as a staff. I think at that point in time that we had lost some confidence in our kicking game for the point afters, because it's been a struggle this year, and Sawyer's not, to me, his usual accurate self. And again, it's various things.
Wasn't so much.
It's like 4 or 5 things go through it.
Wasn't so much losing confidence as opposed to, if it's your night, and we roll off it. Everybody has an off day. Everybody has an off series. You know what I mean? So we roll with what the kids are showing that night, and that night seemed like we needed to go for 2. So that's the switch we flipped. So.
Well, and then we get a touchdown again to go. No, they go back up 21-20. After a touchdown drive, they had a nice little drive on us that was aided by a couple of penalties. One, I went back and watched the video. I still can't see the late hit.
Yeah.
I still don't see it. People say, well, you wear glasses normally. Why don't you put them on? I went back and watched that thing about 10 times, and I did not see it. I don't know if you all saw it in the film room or not, but that helped them get down there. Then we roughed the kicker on the point after. And he had missed it. So guess what? They get another drive, and they go up 21-20. But then we come back down and score again. This one was about an 11-play drive, and it was methodical between the running of Nason, Stacy. I think it was a run by Crow in there. Then you got another run by Maxberry. And then a nice little play we haven't seen before. And we saw it actually 3 times the other night against West Jessamine, where you actually had a wide receiver, kind of like a jet sweep out of the pistol formation, which I kind of like that little touch, because you got 2 guys out there that are dangerous too, Mackay Smith and Aiden Nelson, who could almost go as twin brothers. They're physically built the same way. They run the same way.
Definitely.
So was that something y'all been kind of keeping under your hat just to?
Yeah, we actually sprinkled that in.
That
was
week.
my first year.
Oh, okay.
First year at Whitford with Sidney Mudd. And he scored on it the first time we ran. So
yeah, it might be down at Barron County. I think I do remember that.
Yeah, so we've always had it there. Sometimes, man, you just got to get the ball in your playmaker's hands. And I needed to
I needed to find a way
to get everybody involved and and to get Aiden and Man involved in the running game, because I don't want them to only rely on having to catch a pass or get open, in a route or something. So give them a jet sweep, and here we go.
Well, I will say this. For anybody that doesn't know who Man is, that's Makai Smith. So if you ever hear us talk about Man, that's who that is. It took me 2 weeks to explain to everybody who Skunk was.
He's a Versailles staple.
He is. He's a Versailles staple, and he has got a huge fan in Kelly, my fiance. So she absolutely has to see him every Friday night after a game just to tell him, hey, did it good tonight or whatever. But
he needs to make some merch then. It sounds like he has.
He does. He's got a fan base. He does, and I think it's because of the nickname. Really, that nickname. You don't hear too many people with that kind of nickname.
Exactly. You got to run with it.
You do. But this is the From the Sidelines Coaches Program. Dennis Johnson not with us. We do have Coach P, Coach Pelasasa with us tonight, and we do have an update. 14-0, 7th grade Tigers over Georgetown Middle at the halftime down there in Frankfurt. So it's now 21-0.
Nice.
7th grade. So they are looking to add a conference championship, playoff championship to their regular season championship. Then they'll move on to the Kentucky Middle School Football Coaches Association. I'll get that right. And it's a long title. They'll look to that playoff, and they'll actually be hosting the regionals here at Community Stadium this year. So
Perfect.
Works out really well for them, and would work out really well if we had high school playoff games right after that.
Yeah, exactly.
On Friday nights.
Exactly.
And we're working on that.
Yes,
we're
sir.
getting there.
Yes, sir.
So we got those going on. We'll give you the update for the 8th grade as they come along. But you're watching, like I said, UK Sports Medicine, one of our fine sponsors. They are the title sponsor for the Yellow Jacket Sports Network, all the broadcast. If you want to be treated like a Wildcat, then go to UK Sports Medicine and their walk-in clinic Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Harrodsburg Road. And for all you folks that are as old as I am, it's the old Turfland Mall location. Tell you that. So I'm starting to show my age here.
Yeah, I have personal experience there.
You do? There you go.
My ACL surgery there with my PT, and they were great, fabulous people.
Yeah, Rob Ullery is the fine guy, and I got to meet a guy. I got to see a guy for the last couple of weeks. He actually worked trainer for you this week. I think Walker was somewhere.
Okay.
Randy McGuire,
awesome,
who was at Georgetown College as their head trainer. They got an ultimate job as one of the training staff for the Professional Golfers Association Tour. Yeah,
wow.
So making big time money.
Yes, sir.
But I got to see Randy, and I said, I know that walk anywhere. But he's listening tonight as well on his wherever the tour is this weekend.
Gotcha.
So that's one of our fine sponsors. The other we got 20 sponsors. I got to compliment all of them. The other one I want to talk about is just right over here, Citizens Commerce Bank. They are locally owned and operated, and they believe being local matters, so that's Citizens Commerce Bank. Also want to tell you about the fine folks at Jack Kane Ford. I can't say anything more about Jack Kane Ford other than the fact I needed a vehicle to move something. They found it for me. They gave it to me to use for a day, and I got some furniture moved I needed to move. That's Jack Kane Ford. Bob Kane and I go way back, and they have been in business, not in the same location, but in Central Kentucky for about 45 years, and are still one of the fine places that you need to go. And then also we'll talk about Versailles Brewing Company right here. They not only let us have this show here, they've been a fine sponsor for us and helped me get the equipment that I needed to bring video stream to our broadcast. And in that process also want to mention the Whitford County Farmers Market. If you want fresh produce, fresh meat, fresh vegetables, they are from 8 to noon on Saturdays right out here in the parking lot, up in the front of the parking lot here on the Lexington Road Plaza. And then 3 to 6 on Mondays, they are in the old United Bank parking lot over in Midway downtown. And then 3 to 6, they're right back out here on Wednesdays. That is Versailles and Whitford County's Farmers Market.
That's awesome.
And Coach can attest, I have no scripts here in front of me. I'm winging all this.
Oh, yeah, he's coming off the cuff.
I'm
That's
winging.
impressive.
Well, that's that offensive coordinator coming out of me.
There you go.
You know, you got to wing it sometimes.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, we've got a game going back and forth, and we go up 28-21 after a touchdown, and I believe that was the pass to Aiden Nelson, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Then the two-point conversion run, and that was Max Berry that on that power play that he has scored so many touchdowns over the last couple of weeks over. So we're up 28-20. Get the ball back after holding them on I believe it was a 3-and-out on the next possession. We get a touchdown right before halftime with 20 seconds to go. We missed the two-point conversion. We lead 34-28, and I remember texting some friends in the business here at different sites, and they were going, "Is that third quarter?" I said, "No, that's halftime." And so then they, everybody's like, "Oh, wow," great, West Jessam's giving you, game and stuff.
Yeah.
Second half was totally different. Mm-hmm. And when I say totally different, it was all Yellow Jackets. You come out and start the second half with another wonderful drive, a big run from Andrew Nason on the quarterback keeper on the option. But you score 43 points in the second half. Yeah.
Majority in the third quarter.
And oh, by the way, that 77 points, that's a new school record for points in a game for the Jackets. 77. It was 64, which was just set last year against Collins, who you have next week. Mm-hmm. And before that, it was set way back in 1969 when they beat Georgetown High School 60-0. So
there we go.
Yeah. So 77. Was that number on your mind, or were you guys just trying to get that running clock in the second half?
Yeah, it was all. We have a goal every week as an offense, and that's to get that RC Cola rolling. Man, we got to get that running clock and get up by 36 as fast as we can. It's only going to help us out as a team, help us out as a defense, all that kind of good stuff. So, as we were going tit for tat, we had to make sure that we were just answering every time. So we didn't know when, we just knew it was going to happen. Our defense was going to shut them down at some point, and we just got to continue to do our job. That's all we were focused on.
Well, I know Grant listens to this program. As a matter of fact, he was out here one night with the offensive line. I said, "Wait a minute, you're with the wrong group." And he said, "No, I had to bring my little brother." And I said,
"He's a smart man."
I kind of looked at him and I said, "Grant, Samuel's not little brother. He's maybe your younger brother, but he goes 6'3", 6'4", 265.
I don't think Grant's the big brother.
No, he's
all.
the older brother.
Yeah, he's the older brother of both.
But. But he's out here. But anyway, I gave him a hard time in the parking lot after the game. I saw him and I said, he said, "Jones is fast." I said, "Well, he's not necessarily fast. He was elusive, and we were trying to reach and grab instead of going shoulder and wrapping up."
For sure.
I said, "But I want to talk about this one play." He kind of went, "I know which one you're going to talk about." I said, "Is that the one that you didn't miss him just once or twice on the same play? You missed him 3 times?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I couldn't catch him." He said, "I couldn't grab him." I said, "Well, hit him with the shoulder." So the next quarter, he hit him with the shoulder, got his first sack of the night. I think he went up with 3.5 sacks on the night.
He did. He had a monster night.
So, what were we doing wrong in the first half defensively, according to Coach Brown? I know Coach Brown had a whole lot to say to his defense at halftime.
For sure. It was mainly what you just talked about. I don't ever watch defense. All I know is if I'm under the tent, if I hear oohs and ahs by their crowd, it's not good. If I hear oohs and ahs by ours, it's great. So I just pay attention to that, focus on our guys getting back. But, main thing was just like we talked about, wrapping up.
Part of it was wrapping up, but I thought also, too, our two ends, when Brown was at the defensive end and Garrison was at the other, or Starks would come in and y'all drop Brown down to a tackle. Yeah. I thought we also allowed him at times to get outside containment. And in the second half, that didn't happen.
For sure. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he's a really good player. So kudos.
Oh, he's an excellent player.
We just have standards. You know what I mean? We have goals set for ourselves, and we definitely wanted to shut him down. He came out and did his thing. You know what I mean? But we turned it on second half. We had his answer, so it was good.
Well, I do know he was very elusive, and his dad Pookie was very elusive as well in his day at UK and at Callaway County. Everybody seems to forget he's a Kentucky boy that did come up and play Kentucky, but he's an excellent quarterback. He's not being heavily recruited either, which is crazy.
That is very crazy because
he's leading the state, folks. Jacob Jones, a senior at West Jessamine, is leading the state in passing yards and rushing yards
and scoring, I believe, too.
Yeah. So I knew of the two.
And I'm sitting here going, and he's not being recruited? What are our colleges in this state thinking? I don't care what level. What are you thinking?
Exactly. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
And he's got good size. He's 6'2", maybe 6'3".
Yeah.
And goes about 200, 205.
No, he's perfect size for the next level. So.
And he's not done growing.
Yeah, true.
According to his dad.
True. So, I don't know. I hope the recruiting picks up for him because he deserves it for sure.
All I know is I don't want to see him again in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, no,
But
I hope we're done with him too.
But we probably will.
Hey, that's all right. We're ready.
We probably will. But the thing I like about what our ball club did was we took a line, and I'm talking about defensively. Our offensive line just moved them all over the place all night long from the get-go. And let's give the offensive line some kudos. The center is Xavier Hill. I say he's the little guy. He's bigger than the guy we had last year in Noah Salee, but he goes 235. One guard goes 280. That's Bryson County. The other one goes 305. That's Tristan Cook. Mm-hmm. Then we got the younger Garrison. I got to come up with a nickname for him. But Samuel goes about 265, 270, and 6'3", 6'4". And then the other guy on the other side, Ram Alva, he goes 6'4", and goes 280.
Yeah. There's not a meal getting passed by those guys.
No, I saw him out here about a month ago, and there wasn't a whole lot left on that table.
Yeah, I bet.
That include napkins, and I think some silverware was missing. They may have got, but the line across from them defensively was just as big. Yeah. And they were pushing them all around. But the most impressive thing was West Jessamyn's offensive line rivals your offensive line in size.
They were.
But our defense spent most of their time, especially the down four, in Starks, Brown, Ponce, and Garrison, and Cobble, and there was one other in there.
And
Orberson. They were all, no matter who was in there, they were in the backfield most of the night.
They were, yeah.
So what did Coach Brown just tell? Other than wrap up, bring your shoulders, what did he tell the defense at halftime? I know you were listening. Can we tell it out loud?
To be honest, I pulled the offensive skill guys aside. Dennis took the offensive line, and Brown took the defense. And there probably was some voice raising a little bit. Just kind of.
No, not from Coach Brown.
Yeah, getting them back concentrated. We had the week off. The bye week.
After Franklin County,
gave them a lot of time off, and I think there was a lot of rust in that first half, and just getting back to how we play and getting the kinks out. And they woke up second half. They answered the call for sure. Well,
physically, I don't think there was any rust. It was probably more of the mental side of things.
Yes,
we were getting a little bit. Somebody said, well, why would you take a week off before district play? Well, when you play Franklin County, and that is your rival, and it was as physical last year and this year as they were.
Like it always is. Yeah.
You're right. You need a week off.
You do.
You just wished it wasn't a West Jessamyn team led by Pookie Jones and Dalton Carter.
Yeah.
Not Pookie, Jacob Jones.
Yeah, and when we have our first 5 games of the season, they aren't slouch teams. They're physical teams, they're tough teams. So, we get pretty beat up off those 5, and the bye week comes at a perfect time.
Yeah.
We give the kids time off. We still meet with them, make sure they're sharp, but we give them that time to rest up because districts is a dandy as well. So.
Well, and then you have. Then you go through the row of West Jessamyn, Madison Southern, and Collins. And they all three are similar as what they try to do and spread you out and run off, you kind of utilize some speed. What they don't realize is our big guys can even run.
Yeah.
I think it freaked Dalton Carter out one time. Last week he was running a sweep. And he looks up, and there's Leighton Starks staring him in the face. Now, Starks goes 6'4", 6'5", 225, 230.
Yeah.
Carter goes 5'10", 190 pounds, and can fly. Mm-hmm. And Starks is running right with him.
Yeah.
And then he tries to cut it back, and, oh, by the way, there's Ponce. And Ponce is 290.
Yeah. He might be a little above that this year.
he might be. He might be. He looked a little bigger the other night when I saw him in the parking lot. He can still run. But I think the point is when you have guys with size that can run.
Move. Yeah,
and it's just not him. Garrison can even run. So, when both Garrisons can run.
Yeah.
Because I saw Samuel, he and Tristan Cook on one play in the first half last week, no lie, finished their blocks 40 yards downfield.
Yeah.
40 yards downfield.
Yeah.
They initiated engagement at the line of scrimmage and drove their guys back 40 yards. Now, that was one of the runs by Nason.
Yeah, this is the mentality those kids have. They're not just starting plays; they're finishing them. And they know that every play is a resume. So you got to put your best foot forward every time.
What's it like to have all this? In a way, I mean this nicely because I'm not. In no way is Coach P and I at odds over anything ever since he's been at Whitford County. But he's kind of a mad hatter with all this stuff. He's got to put all this group together. I mean, he has speed. He has power. He can throw the ball. Nason was 10 of 11 throwing the ball the other night for 177 and I think just the one score, right? Or two scores.
Yeah, a couple touchdowns.
2 scores. So you got to put all this together. So you're kind of a mad hatter or kind of a mad scientist of just putting this together. How do you? And I love the body language from the kids because I get to talk to them some. It's usually after games or at another event that I may see them at. They all seem to be just content with what's going on. Yeah, winning does help that a lot.
For sure.
But how do you keep everybody saturated when it comes to their numbers?
Well, we don't focus on numbers. I focus on carries, catches. You know what I mean? You have the dogs have to eat. They have to. You know what I mean? So there's so much talent on this team, and it's hard to keep them all satisfied. But it's team first mentality, and we drive that home. You know what I mean? We drive that home in a number of ways throughout our program, and we've always been like that since I've been here. So, but every Friday night. The stat sheet reads, 3-4 carries, 3-4 catches, and that's across the board for everybody.
Right.
And everybody's producing, everybody's giving back, everybody's blocking, everybody's selling out for their teammates every single play, and that helps a lot. Just the natural want that each of them have for their brothers to succeed. That really what does it.
Yeah, and the thing is too, when we say a lot of talent on this team, we've got several guys that are probably going to play Division I.
Yes.
We already have one that has committed verbally. The signing date is coming up here in the next couple of weeks or so.
Early signing day, I think, end of November, early December.
We've got one that's committed to Ball State. We had another one that committed to Ball State, but I found out last week he had decommitted.
He did, yeah.
But he'll play at the Division I level.
For sure.
I believe Stacy will play there.
Yes.
And I think we got a couple others that are seniors that can play there.
Yeah.
So now my question is, and that doesn't include the FCS. I can't even say FCS anymore. It's 1AA. Sorry, I'm old school. That doesn't include Division II, Division III, and then the NAI level. So we've got a lot of guys that can play collegiately.
For sure.
And folks, the cover's not bare this year either. Got a whole lot coming up that we were talking about at the before we came on the air, and then we've been telling you about this 7th grade team, but 8th grade team's rolling up some massive numbers too.
Oh yeah.
And they'll be here next year as freshmen, and you're looking forward to it. He's just salivating up here, just thinking about all the possibilities here.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot coming up.
A lot to have fun with too. But anyway, we lead 34-28 at halftime. Now, a lot of people were surprised, and they got some boo birds at West Jessamine when Coach Marsh decided to take a knee when they got the ball back with 20 seconds to play in the first half.
Yeah.
They were not happy. They wanted him to try to score to at least maybe tie or take the lead at halftime. What was the halftime message overall to the team from Coach Johnson?
Stay relaxed. Stay relaxed. We're built for this. We're built for 4 quarters. We don't believe that really a lot of teams are. You get outside of that, those top 4 elite teams, top 8. A lot of teams aren't ready for 4-quarter football, and we were going to test them. They hung with us for the first half, and they played really well. I mean, we kudos to them. But we've reinstated with our kids that your training is for 4 quarters and beyond, and I don't think a lot of teams can hang with us. Stay the course, stay true to each other, and everything will work out, and it did. So,
Well, the top 3 teams are of no surprise. One of them is actually back in the hunt after last year being kind of in a rebuilding year. Number 1 in the RPI and overall in 5A is Frederick Douglass. Number 2 is Covington Catholic, which, okay.
no surprise.
And then number 3 are the Yellow Jackets.
Sir.
We are trying to get to that number 2 seed because I don't think anybody's going to catch Frederick Douglass simply because they are better than anybody on their schedule. They played their toughest game about 3 weeks ago against Scott County.
They end with Boyle.
But they do end with Boyle. You're right.
So
I forgot that.
Yeah, so
but
that
Boyle is not the Boyle of old.
they're not. They have a lot of talent, though.
Boyle's down a little
They
bit.
got a lot of talent
Yeah.
there.
But when they've been up this high,
Yeah.
even a little bit off seems to be a big drastic drop off, but it's not at Boyle. They are a good football team. I forgot that was their last game of the year. So how do you tell your team that they know if they get to number 2 seed, they're going to have home games all the way through to the championship, just like they did last year?
Yeah.
How do you keep them focused on what they're supposed to do on the field instead of focusing on that RPI poll?
You don't focus on it, to be honest.
I know, but how do you keep them from doing it?
We address it. We address every game, and it's every week. And we focus on that week at that time, and we focus on the opponent, and we give our opponent that much respect, and we give ourselves that much respect to respect the game, and not look ahead of anybody, no matter what it is, their record, what we see on tape or anything like that, and just trust the process. We don't really worry about rankings until it's time to worry about rankings right before playoffs.
Which is the playoffs.
Yeah, so we just have to do our job, and we know if we do our job, we'll be in the spot that we need to be. And regardless, come playoffs, we just got to handle business each week anyway. So.
Well, we do know next week, or this week, tomorrow night and next Friday night are really important games, as well as that next to last regular season game.
Yeah.
But tomorrow night, Madison Southern gets a guy back who hasn't been in action since game 2 of the year, although he played a little bit last week.
He did.
Kind of ironic. All of a sudden, Whitford County appears on their schedule, and he's healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of wondering. And if I know the kid that this young man is for Southern, he's wanted to play the whole time.
For sure.
So he had to be banged up a little bit.
Yeah.
So he has actually, and I don't know how you do this, but he has gained 45 pounds since last year. They listed him at 185 last year. He's 230.
He's a big kid. Big kid.
He's not flashy.
Yeah, no, he's coming after you.
He's coming after you. Now, you're too young. I'm old enough. I have a gentleman here that's known me a long time, and he knows the name I'm going to throw out. And you've probably seen it on film as being the the football guy you are, Larry Zonka. This guy reminds me of the way Zonka used to run.
Yes.
Just straight ahead, hard-nosed, bull-type mentality. He won't run off and leave you.
No.
He's not going to give you a jab step and fake you out of your shoes.
Yeah.
He's just going to run over you.
He is. Yep. He's going to try.
So we'll see. And we'll give the guy's name. The guy's name's Stephen Whitehead.
Yes.
I'm very impressed with him. I was impressed with him last year.
Yep.
I think he had 167 yards against us last year.
Yeah, he played well.
In the first game. He didn't do so well the second game.
Yeah.
But, he's tough. They have a new quarterback. Now, they've actually flopped quarterbacks last week. Ethan Woods has been the starting quarterback. He is now I think he missed last week due to illness or whatever, but they put Jackson Chambers in at quarterback. Now, Chambers is a little different than Woods. Woods would much rather throw it. Chambers likes to run it a little bit more.
He does, yeah. He's a little bit more athletic.
Who do you expect tomorrow night?
Either one. Prepare for both, just like we always do. We prepare for all situations. So whichever one we see, they'll put probably a couple kids back there tomorrow night, to be honest. So
right.
Just prepare for all situations.
Well, they do run the football. They got a couple of guys that actually Juan Rodriguez actually wore number 41 in Stephen Whitehead's time off and out in honor of his teammate, and he's actually their leading ball carrier. Here's what's really weird about how inept their offense has been this year. Of course, they played some pretty good competition early on. Is Whitehead is still the third leading rusher on the team, and he's only played 3 games, which is scary. But I think we'll be ready.
Shows you how good the kid is.
Yeah, and he's only a junior, so we got to deal with him one more year.
Yeah, I know. Fun times.
Well, you don't have to deal with it. Coach Brown does.
I just have to outscore him.
Yeah, there you go. But let's get back to the West Jessamine game. Finish up here. It was all Woodford in the second half. Yeah, they had a beautiful touchdown throw from Jones to Dalton Carter, and Jones couldn't have run it out there to Carter any better. I mean, he hit Carter right in stride, right over the helmet of Jasper Johnson, who is 6'3", 6'4", and a beautiful fingertip catch by Carter. And that was the last score they had. That was early in the third quarter, and that was it after that. I don't think they crossed midfield after that.
I don't think so either. Yeah, no, it was lights out from there.
Yeah, and, of course, it makes it easier that Coach Brown's defense does what they do and gives you short fields.
Yes. I'll take that all day.
You will. But you did have a 75-yard drive, an 80-yard drive, and a 70-yard drive last week for touchdowns. So you'll take that all day.
Oh, yeah. We preach to our kids we gotta be versatile. We gotta be able to threaten people in all angles, and we gotta be able to have the 10 to 14-yard drives, and we gotta be able to make the one-play touchdowns too. So.
Well, he does a great job of calling plays. I want to ask you one question. Now, I will tell you this, and I'm sure somebody somewhere will try to get me in trouble with you, Dennis, whoever.
I can't tell you the first play of the game tomorrow night.
No. I'll tell you what. I'll know what it is. Dive, Preston Stacy. Either that or it'll be that toss sweep that we do real well with the wingbacks. Hey, it's called the KISS method.
Might be a quarterback sneak.
Keep it simple.
Know,
you keep it simple. Yeah. I need to talk to Andrew about that. Tom Brady's been around for as long as he has because he doesn't do a quarterback sneak go right over the center. He goes one side or the other. That keeps you from getting hit a lot. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, but, everybody's wondering. I mean, I went home that night and listened to a little bit of the West Jessamine broadcast of the game, and they were amazed at how fast Nason was. I stuck my head around between quarters just to tell them, he was 1/4 of the 4x100 school record setting time for the relay last year, and he went, huh? I said, yeah. And then Leland Taylor did his thing, and I said, that's another member of that group.
Yeah.
And I think not Davion Sturgis, but Sturgis.
I think it might have been Sturgis.
Yeah, Sturgis was the third one of them. I think Jacob Jackson was the other.
He was, yeah.
Those guys can turn the light out and get him in bed before it gets dark.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But Nason, they were impressed with Nason because he's a sophomore running this offense. Well, he learned from a guy that ran this offense to almost near perfection a year ago in Bryce Patterson.
Yes, sir.
And Nason, from just talking to him, is a sponge. So he soaked up everything you were telling him, everything Bryce was telling him.
Yes.
And now he's just applying it now.
Yeah, he is.
And he's only going to get better.
Yes, sir, and he has a lot of time.
Yeah,
which is
a whole lot. He's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing about that. He's a sophomore, and I keep telling everybody, yes, he's a sophomore, and he's not throwing the ball near what we were accustomed to having Bryce Patterson throw it.
Yeah.
And I said, but Bryce, folks, didn't throw the ball near as well as a sophomore as he did when he was a senior.
Yes.
So
people forget about the process of things.
Be patient.
Yes, and Nason, in no way, shape, or form, right now is performing like a sophomore. He's taking advantage of this year. He's taking advantage of all the weapons he has around him, and he's putting the ball where he needs to be, and that's all he needs to do is do his job, and he's doing it to the best of his ability, and he's one of the top in the state. And
he's got a boatload of weapons.
You can't say anything else about it.
Well, he knows there's no pressure on him.
Yeah.
Because if he took it as pressure, he wouldn't be able to do what he's doing and guiding the offense. It helps that he's got Stacy back there. He's got Graham Hodge who can spell Stacy back there. Then he's got I call Graham Hodge the 2.0 Jackson Guyler,
Oh yeah, gotcha.
because he just gives Stacy time to rest and get his faculties about him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then you got Max Berry on one side, you got Wyatt Crow on the other, you got Jabari Alexander, you got Leland Taylor, and oh by the way, now you got to figure out a way to you got to find a way to guard Nelson, and you got to find a way to guard Smith.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a
I
good
wouldn't want to be
problem
I
have.
would not want to be a defensive coordinator.
Me either. I like being on the other side of things.
Oh yeah, makes your job easier. And the thing is, the last touchdown came from Wyatt Crow. Wyatt has been so close at times of breaking one. He got one finally the other night, but again, it goes back to what we have talked about time and time and time again on our broadcast. Your wing backs, if they're not getting the ball, they go downfield and make great blocks downfield. Your wideouts, whether it be Smith, whether it be Nelson, they're downfield making great blocks.
Yeah. It's just the mindset. It's the mindset of selling out, giving everything for your teammates. It sets you up in the long run. It really does, especially for those skill guys. If they're beating up that secondary, beating up those outside linebackers, by the time they run routes, they're nowhere to be found because they're too busy, worried about them coming and blocking them downfield. So they just set themselves up. They set their teammates up, and it's all for the greater good. And just works out to be one big masterpiece, we like to call it on Friday nights.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, too, that people have to remember. We had not had a kickoff or punt return for a touchdown in 15 years. We have had a punt return in the first game for a touchdown. We had a kickoff return. Another punt return for a touchdown that was called back.
Yeah.
The first one was by Aiden Nelson. The second one was by Leland Taylor.
Yeah.
The following week, which is the first game I've missed in 39 years of broadcasting outside of a family member passing away, is because I was homesick.
Yeah.
Couldn't get out of bed. That was so bad. But you have I believe we had a punt return for a touchdown in that one. Then we go to Dunbar. We have a kickoff return for a touchdown, which was Leland Taylor. He's actually had 3 kick returns for touchdowns. One was a punt, 2 were kickoffs. He's only got 1 credited because the other 2 were called back for blocks in the back.
Yeah.
But
I think the stats on him this year
they're ridiculous.
Pretty crazy. If you count the ones that get called back, I think he's about 50%. He's taking one back to the house.
Yeah.
So if you imagine if those are in play, he's topping the state by far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I tell him those flags don't count on highlight tape, so he can still throw them in there.
Here's the thing, though. What I think what makes him so dangerous is when he sees the hole. He plants that outside foot, and he's at full speed as soon as he comes out of that break.
Yeah.
There's no hesitation. Now, the other night, I questioned his thought process on one play. He had a first down by about 5 yards, and it bounced off that and decided, I'm going to retreat. And we had to go on 4th down, on 4th and 1, because he got stopped trying to bounce back. But you can't fault that. You can't fault the effort.
Not at all. Not at all. And he's one of those kids that, wasn't the guy, when we're coming into summer camp, and he wasn't the guy, he wasn't the focal point of the offense. And
right.
He just worked his tail off, and he wouldn't accept being on the sidelines, and he needed to be an integral part. Special teams was where he started off at, being an integral part, and then he worked his way into the offense, and here we are. We're at a four-headed monster at the wingback position.
Well, 6 games in, you have had 6 different leading rushers. Who you stop? Stacy's was last week. Maxbury has been. Taylor has been. Nason has been.
Yeah.
Graham Hodge has been, but that was because Stacy was out from that little thigh bruise for a little deal. But who do you stop?
Yeah.
But it's fun to be in your shoes.
For sure.
Because whatever you dial up makes you look like a genius.
Yeah, I just can't get in their way. That's all it is. That's all it is. Friday night, that's my job.
There you go.
Getting those kids away.
Well, I'll tell you what. Tomorrow night we'll see you guys back in action at Community Stadium. We want everybody to be there early because I've challenged the people to do this, and I haven't yet seen it. I want everybody to be out there in the parking lot tailgating when Madison Southern rolls in because I want them to think that the black hole has hit the parking lot because that's what it's going to be inside when they get into Community Stadium. They didn't get the full effect of Community Stadium last year in the first round of the playoffs because it was cold, it was rainy. A whole bunch of people decided to stay home and listen to Dave Thomas and I. So we want everybody out there tomorrow night. No excuses, no rain. It's going to be a little cooler, but it's going to be about 65 degrees tomorrow night to kick off. It'll be okay. It's a pretty night for football.
Put a hoodie on and we'll be all right.
Put a hoodie on. Yeah, get those tan warmers if you're really old and you are really soft. But, Coach, thanks for being here tonight, sitting in for Dennis.
Yes, sir.
You and Keith Brown do a great job of not only offensive and defensive coordinating, but stepping in for Dennis when he needs to be off and things. And I look forward to see what we do tomorrow night on point total.
Yes, sir. Excited.
I'm too, but 77, I don't think it'll be another night, but you never know. Here's the thing. We had 3 plays called back that were big plays. Yeah. We could have been in the 90s.
Yeah, could have.
On scoring.
Hey, all we got to do is be 1 point better than them. We'll be all right, you know?
I'll take it. But I like these running clocks. It makes it tough on me to get commercials in, but, hey, I'll make it up for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Coach Pelisasa, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Matt Pelisasa, the offensive coordinator for Whitford County, will be back, and my partner, Andy Smith, will join me, and we'll close it out. We'll get his thoughts about last week as well as getting set for tomorrow night. Coach Matt Pelisasa here on From the Sidelines with Darren Douglas. Okay, also tonight, Andy Smith going to join us. We still don't have an update on that 7th grade score. Last time we had it, early third quarter, Whitford County was up 21-0 over Georgetown Middle. And I have to give him credit. Clark Bugg is giving me those updates. So Clark is doing well. So we've got that. But, again, thank you, Coach. And I'll get Andy Smith in here. We'll talk West Jess and Madison Southern with my broadcast partner on Friday nights, Andy Smith. As he steps in here. A lot of people like the touch I gave to the video, to the audio stream last week when I put pictures of Andy and I. They were like, I don't know who's what. Of course, a lot of people know who I am, but Andy Smith joining me here tonight on the broadcast here from the Versailles Brewing Company. We want to thank all our fine sponsors again. 84 Lumber, all your product that you need under one roof to build your dream home. It's 84 Lumber, just behind Whitford County High School on Markham Drive. Also want to thank J&B Food Mart, one of the greatest breakfast menus in town. Actually, I'll say in Central Kentucky. Great food down there. Goldie and J&B Food, J&B Marathon Food Mart. Also want to thank Showplace Realty. Sorry, Brad. Brad Lawson, the fine folks down there. 183 South Main Street, downtown Versailles. Commercial, business, or homeowners, they can sell or get you some property that you're looking for. Also want to thank Kentucky Farm Bureau, Courtney Roberts, the agent there. Great job with Courtney. Still doing yeoman's work down in the mountains down in southeastern Kentucky. And also want to thank County 9, where unbridled creativity is welcome. They can make you customized logos or whatever. And we encourage you to go by there tomorrow before you go out to Community Stadium and get your Whitford County gear. And it sounds like the 7th grade's headed to the regional playoffs.
I didn't hear the score
They're
update.
up 21-0. Early third quarter.
There you go.
7th grade should be the 8th grade should be kicking off here shortly. Trying to get that update for that game from Frankfort. 7th grade should be either finished or getting close to finishing for that one. But Andy Smith joins me now. And Andy, we have the opportunity this year to call some one-sided games.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Just 5 of the 6 have been blowouts, but although the first half last week against West Jessamine, you and I jokingly, I think on the air, said that this looked like one of those video games because it was just back and forth, and it was like I even said I think the first one to 70 is going to win.
Right.
Well, I was right about half of it.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, the game didn't look like it was going to be that kind of a game either. We were talking about being touchdown for touchdown and halftime being within a touchdown of each other, and then to have a team come in and score 2 touchdowns in the third quarter and still be have a running clock midway through the fourth quarter
Yeah.
just tells you a lot about how the game went just generally. I mean, it was score 77 points. Sure, and it looks like a runaway game, but it really wasn't until the last 22 minutes of the game. I mean, they just flat out wore West Jessamine out.
Well,
That's what it came down to.
The thing about that game that, from our perspective in the booth, was it just looked like we were not executing defensively. Offensively, we were on point the entire night. We were really looking for the interesting thing about the stop, the one defensive stop that would come. We got the defensive stop we needed after we scored coming out of the locker room at halftime.
Well,
If we don't do that, there may be a game where we're going back and forth.
But also, you have to give West's quarterback a lot of credit for being elusive. He's really the most elusive. Well, maybe Franklin County, but he was somebody who was never brought down by the first man until very late in the game.
Right.
And even our very talented defensive ends and on the blitz schemes that Whitford was running, he was able to evade them and get downfield. So you have to give a lot of credit to West Jessamine's quarterback on that. It wasn't really until the end of the game where he was just tired.
We knocked him out of the game too for a series, I believe, too, where I don't know if he banged his knee on a helmet or whatever.
Yeah.
But
he was just a heck of an athlete.
Yeah,
and
he's a good ball player.
I think that you got to give him a lot of credit for everything that West did in the first part of that game. Whitford County did a pretty good job of shutting down their big receiver, who was the leading receiver in the state coming into that game, in the second half. It took a half to get there, but they did a good job. I think that West had a lot more athleticism than anybody thought that they would.
right.
Or at least that we've seen there, and we couldn't say enough good things about the coach there early on in that game. But honestly, Whitford County just wore them out with athleticism and putting a lot of pressure. I don't care how good your quarterback is, and you put that kind of pressure on him for an entire game. Even if you're not making a tackle, he's got to run around the backfield the whole night, and it just wore on him. So I think that, and then Whitford County did some tackling drills or something at halftime and came out and really did a good job.
Yeah, there was a whole lot. I would say there was a whole lot of paint being peeled off the locker room wall, but Jackets never went to the locker room. They actually went down over the hill just to one end of the football stadium there at West Jessamine, and they were called to task by their defensive coordinator.
I would imagine. But they did a good job recovering. You have to coming off of a bye week, and this week's going to be interesting too against Madison Central coming out of a fall break.
Yeah, fall break. They've been at practice. They've kept it similar to what they would have normally with practices. They did practice today in the morning on their pregame day. So I think that was just because Dennis had so much going on here with the two soccer games, district championship games at Community Stadium, the volleyball team playing at home tonight. And he wanted to get down and see the middle school teams play in their championship games. But they just really did some great things in the second half. I gave Grant Garrison a tough time in the parking lot on the one play that stood out to us in the first half when he had a shot at Jacob Jones, the quarterback for the Colts, and not just missed him once nor twice. He missed him 3 times on the same play.
Yeah.
And he said, he was elusive for sure.
Right.
But he corrected that enough in the second half to where he got 3.5 sacks on the night.
Right. He did a great job. He did a great job recovering. They showed a lot of character across the board, and I think I said this at the end of the game. The other piece that was really impressive against West Jessamine was just the leadership from the quarterback position. Nason did a great job with some setbacks. They just when they thought that they got the momentum, something would happen, a penalty or something like that, and he did a great job of just kind of leading the team back. Or he wheeled off a huge run, and it got called back because of a block in the back or something, or a hold. And it's easy for a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old to kind of put their head down and get frustrated or start yelling at the team. And instead, he just kept his composure, and did his thing, and that was really impressive. He just came right back out and said, "Okay, we're just going to do it again." And it's impressive to see that kind of maturity out of a sophomore.
Right. And you get all that from your sophomore, but you got great senior leadership in Aiden Nelson, in Tristan Cook, and Grant Garrison, and in Caleb Brown, and I mean, you have it on both sides of the football, so it makes it a little bit easier as a coach because teammates are holding everybody accountable.
And even when things don't go their way, they are not getting down on each other. At least they don't seem to be from way up in the box, and they seem to just really be holding it together on both sides of the football.
Well, somebody asked me what was the rushing stats individually for the Jackets Friday night. Well, we ran the ball 34 times. We only had the ball for 45 plays.
Wow.
45 plays, and you score 77 points. You want to talk about efficient? That's very efficient. But here's the numbers. Stacy led us in rushing, 12 carries, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns. Nason had 123 yards on 7 carries, 2 touchdowns. Kenyon Maxbury, 4 carries, 53 yards, and a score. Leland Taylor, 3 carries, 43 yards, and a score. Wyatt Crow, 2 carries, 41 yards, and a score. Aiden Nelson, 2 carries, 33 yards, and a score. And the only 2 guys that didn't score actually had real good yards on offense. Makai Smith, 2 carries, 15 yards, and Sam Hash, 2 carries for 14 yards. So that's how you build up a big rushing attack. But who do you stop there?
Right.
I mean, where do you concentrate on that?
Right. Yeah, no, you don't. I think that's it. It's really difficult. We've talked about this all year. We talked about it all year last year. Just when you think you have one part of their game shut down, they're not a one-dimensional team by any means. You can throw the ball downfield. They can go to any one of their talented backs. It's just at any time, Whitford can shift their offense and throw something else at you that you didn't prepare for during that week.
Oh, that's why I'm so glad that. And Coach Pelisasa said, I am so glad I'm the offensive coordinator because I don't have to worry about that. But guys like Keith Brown have to worry about that. What do we expect tomorrow night? Stephen Whitehead, I don't know if you heard the really good running back who had a really good game in the regular season against the Jackets and then had a decent game against us in the playoffs. Will be back for the first time in 4 weeks for Madison Southern. What do you expect the Jackets to try to do?
Well, we're going to see, on the ground has been the one place that Whitford County's been routinely had a challenge, I think. And I don't know, maybe you don't think that's fair, but I think that when it comes to teams running off tackle against Whitford County, they've had a tough time stopping. I think that if they've got a big back coming back, then that's going to be a challenge. Their linebackers are going to have to bow up and make some tackles. It makes them tough, make the big tackles up front. You always task your inside guys, your inside linebackers to stuff the hole and stop the back coming through. And I think that against Franklin County and again against West last week, that was a challenge. And I think that if now outside, you can't get around the corners on Whitford. But if you try to run off tackle, that's where, if you're watching film, if I'm watching the Franklin County game as for prep film, I'm going to look and see, oh, look at that. They're running counters off tackle, and they're getting some yards. Because even when they ran a jet, Whitford County did a great job of stopping the outside.
Well, we'll see one of the faster guys that we'll see all year long tomorrow night in Jay-Sean Etheridge. Jay-Sean is not a big guy. He goes 5'8". They list him at 160 pounds, but I've seen him up close and personal when he was out in the parking lot in Berea last year. He's not 160 pounds. If he's lucky, 145. He's a very small young man, but he can fly.
The small, fast guys are always going to break one on you.
Yeah, we have to keep him under control.
And Whitford always does a great job doing that.
Well, then we have him, and then Stephen Whitehead's the guy we were talking about that has been hurt and is now back in uniform for Southern. Last year he was 195, or 185, excuse me. This year he's 230. Now, I don't know if that's where he has been out hurt, and he's just, but I assume because it's the roster that they turned into the KHSAA, I assume he came in that way. So, he is a big young man that we're going to have to deal with. He's not explosive. He's not fast. He won't cause those kinds of problems for us, but he will hit it up in there because he doesn't go down easily. But what I want our viewers tomorrow night to watch in the broadcast, Andy, is they may call a play to go right, but he's looking to bend it back to the other way. So the play may not be called going to the left, maybe going right, but he's looking to bounce it back to the other direction. So we've got to stay at home on the backside to alleviate those big runs.
Well, and if that's something that he's doing, we have such amazing backside pursuit. Sometimes you can over-pursue in those in that space, so that might be someplace to watch. And if they've got a broken play, and his back has to bend it back.
Well, he does it, I think, he's doing that on his own. He's looking to bend it.
One comment you made in the Franklin County game was about the number of tackles that the safety had for Whitford County. You could also see that there. So it's not his job necessarily.
Not the free safety. The strong safety, yes, maybe.
Yeah. But you talked about the fact that the free safety was coming up and making tackles that linebacker should be making. That's someplace where the safety's going to have to stay home. He's going to have to, in those running situations, he's going to go ahead and have to play his ball. He can't over-pursue to the football. Honestly, on the backside, if they're running away from our talented defensive ends, they do such a good job of crashing down on the football. I don't see where he can go.
Yeah.
Because unless he gets sucked inside, defensive ends have done a great job of making tackles from behind. There's no place to cut back to. There's no place to turn around to because he's going to be in your face. That's just what I've seen he's a difference maker back there.
Right. I need to give Clark Bug a hard time. He has all of a sudden just quit texting me, let me know the scores, or that score of that that seventh grade game. We assume they were up 21-0 about halfway through the third quarter. We assume that the Tigers have hung on to advance to next week's playoff in the regional, which will be, I believe, here at Whitford County for the seventh grade. And if the eighth grade wins, they'll be also hosting here for that. So
Coach Dave Thomas doing
a great job. And we got some talent coming up that I'm looking forward to seeing over the next few years.
Overheard a little bit of that conversation.
But tomorrow night, there will be some new names that you're going to hear from the Madison Southern side of things. Gone is Cole Carpenter. He is now toiling at Frederick Douglass as a starting quarterback for the Broncos up there in Lexington.
Right.
So now it'll be either Ethan Woods or Jackson Chambers, both who have played in their high school careers nothing but wide receivers. Different story when you're a quarterback. They have not thrown the ball very well at all this season as a duo. So just be ready for a whole lot of trying to run the football, keep Whitford County's high-powered offense off the field. So I think that'll be right. Plus, their defense, they have a new head coach in Coach Payne. I think Mike Payne, I believe is his first name. But they will have their hands full with Whitford County tomorrow night because, especially defensively, because defensively they cannot stop anybody running the football. So guess what Whitford does well? We run the football very well. So we'll see what happens with that coming up. So we're going to look ahead. We can do this as broadcasters.
Okay.
We can look ahead. The Jackets get victory number 7 tomorrow night, go 2-0 in the district play. Then we go to Shelbyville for the first time ever against Martha Lane Collins High School. We have to deal with another good quarterback. Have to deal with another outstanding quarterback in Kenyon Gooden. He threw 3 touchdown passes against Whitford County last year, but he also threw 2 picks. One of those came at the end of the first half when Aiden Carroll picked him off in the end zone. We go down and score to take the lead for good and wind up setting a school record in points with 64, only to be broken last week with the 77 from West Jessamine. But he is a great talent. He likes to run the football. He is their leading rusher and, of course, their leading passer on the year. What do you think there? Just give me a quick synopsis. What do you think?
Well, I mean,
I think Whitford wins that one because even though we're playing on the road down there for the first time ever,
yeah.
I just think the fact that they can't stop the run.
Well, you put this one on in the pregame. You put this one on the calendar, and you said you marked it and said this is an important game.
A big one.
Yeah. Collins has got they come and go with talent.
They
you
do.
don't know. You don't know what you're going to see. They're a little bit like Whitford used to be, where they have an up year and a down year. If they've got talent, they're going to be tough.
Well, they got
it's
some talent.
Just whether or not you can stop. It's whether or not you can stop and resist the onslaught from Woodford County. It's over, and that they just beat you up up front.
It's demoralizing.
It is, and it's hard. We saw it. We saw the whole team at Adjustment County last week just sort of slow down.
Yeah, they were just exhausted.
And they were done, and that's what Woodford does to you. So I think that's what you're going to end up seeing. You're going to see a lot of the same there as well. It's going to be a big game, and you've marked it on the calendar as a really important game because if they win that one, they probably will win out, and then we just start talking about playoffs.
Yeah, then we've got, after tomorrow night, just one more regular season home game. That will come up in 2 weeks against the Jaguars of East Jessamine, who are in rebuilding year, but I watched them play for a half against West Jessamine on their video broadcast. They gave West Jessamine all they can handle for the first 24 minutes.
Sure.
After that, the West Jessamine talent went over the younger talent for East Jessamine.
Okay.
And then Woodford County on the road at Simon Kenton to finish up the regular season. So we're hoping and praying that we get some more home games.
Yeah. Well,
I, for one, am tired of driving all over the place.
Well, last year it felt like we played the whole season at home, and a lot of people talked about that being such an advantage, but it doesn't seem to have slowed Woodford County down.
No, we played 9 games at home last year out of the 13.
Yeah. So
out of the 14s, I'm sorry.
When you have a big win season like that, or a lot of people say, well, look at the home season. What I'm interested to see is when the competition really starts to get thick as we move into November and we move into that first couple of weeks of November, and see when you don't know, when it's not a scheduled game, how it's going to go. 4 away games or 4 home games on a season is a challenge. Period. That's just a challenge. You're traveling a lot, but you're also overcoming obstacles and continually. It's just another obstacle to overcome. And if that's the way you're going to sell it, then that's the mentality that this team seems to have. Is we're going to overcome.
Well, I think you and I will agree with this. This team went into a very hostile environment 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago actually, down at Franklin County.
Sure.
And took everything Franklin County had. Now, granted, they were playing without Caden Mormon. They were playing without Gavin Hurst, their starting quarterback. But they gave us everything, then with every barrel they had loaded.
Yeah.
And they handled adversity very well, did the Jackets, and came out with that 15-point victory. Last week, we go into a very hostile environment over there at West Jessamine. They were hooping and hollering and going crazy in the first half. The second half, it got real quiet down below us.
Well, it took a while, but it did.
Yeah, so this team is prepared for these hostile environments. So I think next week against Collins, it'll be one where the Jackets will absolutely go in there and take the Titans to task.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow night, though, again, Andy and I will be on the air at about 7 o'clock with the pregame show, maybe 7:10. We'll just figure it out from there because we just roll with it like that. But we'll leave from Community Stadium, kickoff at 7:30 with the Jackets and the Madison Southern Eagles tomorrow night. Going to be a gorgeous night for football. We hope you are there in full force at Community Stadium. We want you there. I believe I have heard again, it's a blackout night.
Okay.
Don't know, but that's what I've heard. So look at my Facebook page. I'll send it to Andy. He can post it wherever he does. I'll send it to Bill. Bill Kane's going to be down in Bowling Green with his daughter, Abigail, and Sophie Lester, and Bradford Lacefield. They're starting play tomorrow in the boys and girls golf state tournaments.
Yeah.
So,
Darren, it's important to point out that there's a lot of broadcasting going on right now. There's a lot of folks online doing stuff, but you've managed through community support to keep this free for everybody, whether it's audio or video, whatever's working, at the moment, or whether we have permission to do. It's been really nice to be able to share a link out there that just says, Darren Douglas has kept this free for you all. So You know,
and I will keep it free for as long as I do this.
Community support on that for these online broadcasts. So, Darren, I just want to say that that's some feedback that I've gotten that really do appreciate the community support that makes that possible. So, thanks, Darren.
We've got a lot of great.
Look forward to tomorrow night.
Yeah, we got a lot of great sponsors that help us out. And Mr. Appliance over in Georgetown, that is one, is owned by Chris Farmer, a former Yellow Jacket football player and wrestler, and his wife, Catherine. She was a member of the high school band here at Whitford County High School. Their brother, Catherine's brother, was Mike Gentry, who played football and wrestled here as well. So, you know, we have a lot of those guys and girls that are involved with us. Also, want to thank a lot of fine people around that help us continually get things out there and doing things that we need to do. Jason Go State Farm is another one. Just tons of people that help us. Falling Springs Rec Center, fitness, family, and fun out there all in one place. Work out anytime. Brett Least, another former Yellow Jacket player. I also happened to coach him in middle school for 3 years. 24/7, you can get your fitness taken care of there. So no report from soccer out there tonight. Actually, that's the girls' soccer. Let's see if the boys won or are still playing. Let's check this out here. Still waiting on that update from Clark Bugg. I hope he's watching online here for a minute so he can hear me give him a hard time.
All right, man. Well,
no finals here from soccer tonight, so we'll get that straightened out. But Andy, thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Again, 7:30 kickoff, 7 o'clock we'll be on the air. It'll be video streamed tomorrow night from Community Stadium, but we want you there.
Okay.
You can go home and watch it later and listen to Andy and I. But then also get there about 5 o'clock or so. When Madison Southern comes rolling in, they'll see a bunch of people out in the parking lot wearing black and gold, and the intimidation starts there.
That's right.
All right, Andy, thank you very much. Thank you to the fine folks at For Sales Brewing Company and all the patrons here tonight that just kind of hang out with us here.
It's pretty neat. Yeah,
it's pretty
good
neat.
little vibes.
Anyway, that's been the From the Sidelines show with myself, Andy Smith, with us. Thanks again to Matt Pelasasa, the offensive coordinator for the Jackets, sitting in for Dennis Johnson tonight, joining us here on the show. Till next Thursday night, we'll be back out here again at 6:30 for the From the Sidelines show. We'll hopefully have Dennis back with us next Thursday night. But if not, we'll have somebody, whether it be Keith Brown, and we'll have a special guest to join me, the public address announcer at Community Stadium, Brian Staples, will join us at the end of the night. People say, well, who is he? And well,
big voice.
We're going to see him. He's got a great voice.
Absolutely.
Andy, I'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, buddy.
Until tomorrow night, 7 o'clock pregame. This has been From the Sidelines. So long till tomorrow.